Alright, this is things I like. Really exciting for when I pitch this to Maureen because we're looking at different ways to interact with audiences, different ways of getting out there beyond the people who just happen to know us geographically. And so I said, what if we just did a series about things we enjoy? And she said no. First episode is on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I think it's called. I don't even know the fucking title. I don't even care. I'm the last guy to talk about this movie at all, ever. It's really funny because I had no interest in the concept. I don't care for Miles Morales as a character. I don't like Brian Michael Bendis. I almost solely attribute him to ruining Marvel. I did not like the Lego movie, so I wasn't really a fan of the creative team. I don't like Sony Pictures. I especially don't like how they handle the Spider-Man character. So, going into this movie, I had no hype, except for the fact that the trailer seemed decent and people said it was good. With that said, actually, I'm going to give some backstory here. So, when Ultimate Spider-Man came out, and the big twist that Peter Parker died, and it was going to be this, inner city black kid taking over, I thought it was exciting. I was actually pretty into the idea, especially just as an offshoot, kind of what-if-esque story. And I read like 8 issues, and it's like the blandest, laziest, most stereotypical writing ever. So that's why I don't like Ultimate Spider-Man. That's why I'm not interested in Morales. And that was immediately what hit me with this movie. The first 5 seconds when it does, I forget the Statue of Liberty logo, that one. It does this flash into this neat animation style. It's got this narrative device where it's showing the origin of every Spider-Man using their own comic book series, which is really clever. And it's immediately gripping. It's like going to a concert or something, or like being at like a club and they have like the lights overhead shooting down on you. It's really engaging visually. And then Miles is immediately likable. Like they make it look so simple that it's frustrating that the comics fuck him up so bad and make him such an uninteresting character. Because in this, you're immediately with him. You love his father, who's a really charming cop character. You love his uncle. And what they do that I think is so simple is that they just use the Goofy movie method, where if you take a Goofy movie and you take Goofy's son Max and then like look at Miles, they're almost identical in presentation in my opinion, and I think it works really well. Also, I just think the voice cast and everything sells it a lot. The writing's very clever. The animation's strange. I know that they took frames out to give it a higher resolution quality, which some people kind of weren't into. I wasn't at first either, but I think it really works cinematically. Seeing it on the big screen was exciting. It didn't take me out of it at all. And then you have some of the best Peter Parker characters. Gwen Stacy. I love Gwen Stacy. I'm more Gwen than Mary Jane. I think most fans are. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I think Raimi's Spider-Man really turned people around into Mary Jane, at least with my generation. And then later on down the road, people came around on Gwen. That's my one issue with the movie, though. Her romance, we're going to call it. To me, it's strange, her and Miles. It seems forced. Once again, the writing's clever. The shoulder touch and all that is really funny and well done. Him keep saying, like, oh, I'm going through puberty when his hand's sticking to the side of her head is really funny. That whole sequence with Miles outside the building, or later on with the knocked out Peter B. Parker, is really clever visual set pieces. But the Gwen Miles thing, it just feels underdeveloped. And it's weird to me because Gwen was Peter's girlfriend, but in her universe it's her best friend, but then Peter B. Parker sees her with Miles, and it's not like a shock to him. I guess he just accepts it scientifically so fast that he's like, this isn't my Gwen, if he even has a Gwen in his universe. It's just strange and undercooked. And for a film that's still so well thought out, I think that really stands out. Ultimately, they're likable together, dynamics mostly fun. It's just, at the end sequence, when there's like a hint that there might be a sequel with more Gwen and Miles romance, I was like, meh. I care much more about everything else in this movie. Maybe they'll do it better, and I thought that every idea about this movie sucked. So the idea of a romance sequel with them sounds like crap to me. And they'll probably prove me wrong. I'll see it opening day, at the very least, out of loyalty after this one. The villains, it's interesting to have Kingpin as the main villain in a Spider-Man comic. I like that the Green Goblin's just used. I like that it has a ton of villains in it, but it has one central villain that I think is very good, especially this backstory and how they kind of interpret how they integrate that into the multiverse thing and his motivation, very well done. I really like, I don't know the villain's name, I forget now, the Prowler or some shit. The twist with that being who that is, even though you know, it's still very, very well done. The way they handle that character is incredibly well balanced between likable bad guy, if you can even call him that, or anti-hero. You know, all the Peters. You know, Peter B. Parker, he's probably the best Peter Parker on camera since Tobey Maguire. So I'm gonna say he's the best. I don't think it's really something you can compare, because they're so different. They're different characters. They have different lives. They're used differently. And I don't think this is a Spider-Man movie, just to clarify. And what I mean by that is this is an ultimate Spider-Man movie. See, Spider-Man has a set of themes, aesthetics, you know, like the Raimi ones, for instance. It's Golden Age Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. This one is much more postmodern. It's faster paced. The visuals are different. I mean, that goes without saying. It's animated, obviously, duh. But the big thing for me is the theme that anybody can be Spider-Man. To me, that's actually kind of not Spider-Man at all. It actually, to my opinion, it goes against the central theme of Spider-Man to some extent. I think you take the themes of the great power and put that into your own life however you may see fit. But I think that the idea that anybody can be Spider-Man's off the mark. I don't agree with it or like it necessarily, in theory. The way they do it's very well, though, and that's another point. You know, once again, every idea about this movie I should hate, I shouldn't enjoy, but I give it like an A. I really have no complaints with the movie that are serious. I don't care for the Post Malone Sunflower theme. To me, it sounds like Paper Planes by M.I.A. It's not like horrible, but it's not like a real catch. I don't know why the soundtrack was such a big deal when this movie came out, personally. That doesn't bother me. I'm not gonna, throw a fit because I don't love the main track, or I think it's a little mediocre. But I'm gonna make this to be the first episode because Marie and I really like Spider-Man. We saw this movie together in theaters, and I don't know if she was that excited. She probably was because she likes Spider-Man more than I do. But we were both blown away. It was like overwhelming. After I saw the movie, it was like I got off a roller coaster, like literal roller coaster experience where you're just winded, just like Jesus Christ, and just so happy and grateful that this movie exists and is as good as it is. And that's coming from a dude who had no excitement for the movie, who really kind of, when it was announced, like, I just didn't make that, why waste our time? So that's the first episode of Things I Like. And just to clarify more on our goal here, this isn't saying submit to us things with themes like Ultimate Spider-Man or whatever. The point is just to kind of show who we are and relate with the audience more. It's just a fun little thing. So more to come.